Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier are fighting Saturday, July 10th, 2021 in what is their third bout of their trilogy. They are both one apiece, with Conor securing the knockout in the first fight and Dustin Poirier securing the knockout in the second fight. The third fight is winner takes all. Now, I've gotten a lot of messages from people asking me what's the play here, what's the strategy, what are we gonna do? So I decided to make this video just for you guys. I'll be placing $10,000 on a specific unique bet on this fight, but there are a couple key elements you need to know in order to understand why I'm making this specific bet. Things that they're not really telling you or you just aren't aware of. So let's jump in. Guys, real quick before we get started, these videos take a ton of time and a ton of work, and all I ask in return is for you guys to smash that like button, subscribe with bell notifications on, and share the video if you can. It's 2 seconds for you guys, but it really helps my channel out. That being said, let's not waste time. The first time Conor and Dustin fought, Conor secured the knockout in the very first round. The second most recent time they fought, earlier this year, Dustin Poirier secured the knockout, knocking Conor McGregor out in the very second round. Now, going into the second fight, when Conor was fighting Dustin Poirier, he was actually preparing for a fight with Manny Pacquiao. With everything but the actual contract signed, Conor McGregor was anticipating fighting Manny Pacquiao in the boxing ring.
I am excited for a Manny Pacquiao bout, and it's looking like it will take place this year.
I don't know what will happen. That Manny fight was happening. You know what I mean? It was as good as done, so.
Before he did that, Dustin Poirier was going to be like a warm-up fight. Here's why. Manny Pacquiao is a southpaw, and so is Dustin Poirier. Thus, Dustin is a good warm-up for Manny Pacquiao. In addition to that, although Dustin Poirier does wrestle and grapple, he's predominantly a striker with an emphasis on boxing. He has phenomenal boxing, and that is what he usually leverages to secure all his wins. Thus, when Conor decided to fight Dustin again in their very second bout, he believed it was going to be more or less a glorified boxing match. Another thing to note is that fellow UFC fighter Max Holloway put on one of the greatest performances in the Octagon against Calvin Kattar earlier this year. And one of the most memorable moments in that fight was when Max Holloway claimed he is the best boxer in the UFC. He tagged his opponent Calvin Kattar, looked at the commentators, yelled, "I'm the best boxer in the UFC," and then slipped a punch while he was still looking at the commentators.
The best boxer in the UFC, baby! Right hand!
Max Holloway is definitely one of the best boxers in the UFC roster. But then this caught the attention of both Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. They believe that they're the best boxer in the UFC.
I enjoyed the fact that Max said he was the best boxer in the UFC, and you seem to disagree with that.
Yeah, and then he hit you. No, look, yeah, he's not the best, but it's no question, and I'll prove that on Sunday night. Let's see, on Sunday morning, sorry. Let's see what he has to say after Sunday morning.
So you take the fact that they've been discussing who's the best boxer in the UFC. Conor is treating this Dustin Poirier fight as a warm-up for Manny Pacquiao, and he believes that predominantly the fight is going to take place on the feet with mostly boxing exchanges. And this was a huge oversight on Conor's part. Dustin did not come in looking for a boxing fight. He came in with a mixed martial artist approach. Dustin leveraged wrestling, grappling.
Very important for Dustin. Trying to get close.
Engaging in the clinch.
You don't need to be in the clinch. You want to try to get back to space and try to find that left hand on Dustin Poirier.
Kicks and punches, with an emphasis on the low calf kick.
There's a solid calf kick there from Poirier.
Dustin Poirier's game plan was absolutely phenomenal. Now, when discussing technique, there was a lot of adjustments both of the athletes made. Conor is one of the best counter strikers in the UFC. That's where he excels. Conor is known for his pull counter left, baiting his opponent into throwing a punch and coming within distance, only for Conor to pull back, out of reach from his opponents, and then throw the left. He is probably the best in the UFC at doing this. Now, Dustin and his team are aware of this. In the second fight, Dustin would throw a jab in order to bait Conor to throw the two. He would then pull back and throw his own counter check hook. He did this multiple times throughout the fight. The most effective and precise shot that Conor threw, in my opinion, in that second fight was the lead shovel hook.
His game, right? He's not a wrestler. So having the
Right hand looked like a debilitating calf kick there from... Because Conor will get the timing.
In fact, one of the moments that he actually caught Dustin with it by surprise, Dustin himself admitted that he was really hurt, and if Conor actually pressed forward and looked to finish the fight there, Dustin was on his way out.
My legs, nothing went, but he flashed me good, and if he would have pressured and I would have got hit again, I think I would have been really hurt.
This is a high-level game of chess between two world-class athletes. One of the biggest elements of surprise that Dustin used in his approach to fighting Conor for the second time was the low calf kick.
It's at him.
Because Dustin Poirier,
Nice shots.
that's very important for the game.
The right hand lands flush for Conor. Versatility. Conor's not, but
He
he
has
does
many
keep
skill line, right? But knocked out by somebody and landing the shots.
through now.
Absolutely. Punches.
No, man, you can't sit down.
Conor fights in a southpaw stance, and most of his opponents that he has faced in his career are predominantly orthodox fighters. When you're fighting an orthodox stance against a southpaw, the outside lead leg kick isn't really available. However, when Conor fights a fellow southpaw, which he's only fought a few in his career, that outside lead leg kick is available. This is what Dustin Poirier leveraged, and Conor never actually experienced that low calf kick in the past.
Those leg kicks are not to be messed with, you know what I mean? That calf kick, the low calf kick, I've never experienced that, and it was a good one, so.
Once he completely made that leg go dead, Conor's movement was completely nullified. At that point, he was a sitting duck in water, and Dustin could go inside the pocket and just completely tee off on him, which is what happened.
But wait! There's more!
Because Conor anticipated this would predominantly be a boxing match, Conor abandoned his traditional karate-style wide stance, where he was very light in his feet and could move in and out of positions and looks very quickly. Instead, he opted for a very traditional boxing-type stance that was very stationary and flat-footed.
Conor has taken a more boxing approach to his fights lately, and because of that, the kicks are available.
By the time Conor actually realized that this is an MMA bout and not really a boxing fight, where Dustin Poirier was going to leverage all of his tools, it was already too late and Conor took too much damage to the lead leg.
That leg is crushed right
It's
now.
starting to get dead. Yeah, he's dead in that leg already.
Now let's look at stamina. When it comes to assessing stamina and cardio, I give all of the edge to Dustin Poirier. Conor is a phenomenal mixed martial artist, but he doesn't have a very good gas tank. And I don't believe this is due to a lack of focus or effort on Conor's part. Conor exerts what seems to be a significant amount of emphasis and focus on his conditioning and cardio leading up to the fight. I believe he does this in an effort to prepare himself to be able to go the full 5 rounds. However, every single time we've seen Conor go the distance or go beyond 2 rounds, we see him start to fade. Floyd Mayweather noticed this and used that to his advantage. By the time Conor gassed out, he was unable to even keep his hands up, which is something we also saw Conor do against Nate Diaz. This repetitive behavior indicates that whenever Conor gasses out, which is usually after the 8 to 9 minute mark in a fight, he gets so fatigued and so tired, he's unable to even put up his guard. He couldn't really get away with it against Floyd Mayweather, but he did get away with it against Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz is mostly a volume striker, and then laugh at you, point at you, give you the finger, taunt you, and make a real spectacle out of it. That's one of the reasons why Nate Diaz is a huge draw. An example to help illustrate this is Nate Diaz's most recent fight against Leon Edwards. Nate Diaz was down 4 rounds going into the 5th round, and with only about a minute left on the clock, Nate Diaz managed to tag, clip, and rock Leon Edwards with a 1-2 combo. Now in this moment, usually fighters would rush in and try and secure the knockout, go for the kill, and win. But with Nathan, he decides to point at him and laugh, mock him, taunt him a little bit, and then kind of throw some shots but not really look to go for the kill. Dustin, on the other hand, is not that type. If he senses you're gassed out and you can't even put your hands up, he is going to tee off on you. He's looking to put your lights out. What does this mean? Conor is the most dangerous fighter in the very first round. He has a full tank of gas and is completely energized, he's focused, and he's ready to go. Everything is heightened and at its sharpest. But as time progresses and Conor gasses out, all of those things start to fade. Dustin does not have that problem, however. Dustin has really good cardio and can dig in and push on. His conditioning seems to be superior to Conor's. So all in all, when discussing conditioning, I give the edge to Dustin. Now let's look at mental warfare.
Dustin Poirier.
Dustin performs very poorly whenever his opponents engage in psychological warfare, trash talking, and trying to get inside his head. Now, there was a lot of trash talk and psychological warfare that Conor was engaging in his very first fight with Dustin. It's not just against Conor in their very first fight that this happened. Dustin got knocked out by Michael Johnson in the 155-pound lightweight division in the very first round. Leading up to that fight, there was a lot of animosity and trash talk between the two athletes. Now, this isn't to discount or discredit any of the capabilities of either of the athletes, Conor or Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson, who at the time was known to have the fastest hands in the lightweight division. So trash talk or not, a knockout was very possible. Now, Dustin also says that was early in his career. His priorities and his mindset was completely different to what it is today. He is now a veteran of the game. He has matured and come a long way and doesn't really fall victim to those kind of psychological games anymore. Leading up into this fight, there's now a lot more trash talk coming from Conor, and he, by his own admission, says that no more Mr. Nice Guy. It'll be interesting to see how Dustin truly responds to all of this. Also worth noting that this is a must-win for Conor. Now, contrary to what other people say, I actually believe that in the event that Conor does lose this fight, he is still a massive draw. He'll be able to sell more than 800,000 to 900,000 pay-per-view buys, regardless of who he fights. He's a household name. But if Conor wants to be a title contender and retain this massive star power that he currently holds, he needs to win this fight. Otherwise, it's just going to be too many losses. Dustin, however, also wants to win this fight, but there might be a difference. Dustin got paid somewhere in the neighborhood of $30-something thousand in his first fight against Conor. In his second fight against Conor, he got a flat fee of $1 million. He wasn't entitled to any back-end pay-per-views or nothing else. This fight, however, Dustin is entitled to not only a hefty sum, but he now also earns a back-end percentage of the pay-per-view buys. I anticipate that this event will generate north of 1.5 million pay-per-view buys. And with Dustin being entitled to a back-end percentage of that, that's where the real money is. So for Dustin, win, lose, or draw doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter.
He's already won, really. He secured the bag. And for all my fellow MMA fans and enthusiasts, Chael Sonnen picked Dustin Poirier to win. If you know, you know. So with all things considered, I believe that the earlier rounds of the fight goes to Conor, and the later rounds of the fight goes to Dustin. If Conor wants to win this fight, he's got to knock out Dustin in the first or second round. Otherwise, I believe that Conor's going to gas out, he's going to begin to fade, he's going to get really tired, and then Dustin is just going to pour it on. First two rounds go to Conor, rounds 3, 4, 5 go to Dustin. That being said, I plan on dutching $10,000 on Conor rounds 1 and 2 and Poirier rounds 3, 4, and 5. If you're not familiar, dutching is essentially when you take a total stake and you divvy up the funds across multiple bets in such a way that no matter which bet hits, it all equals the same payout. Guys, let me know in the comments down below what you think is going to happen in the fight and if you agree or disagree with this prediction. I don't necessarily like any of the lines or any of the odds offered. Nothing is really jumping out at me. But because so many people have reached out and asked me, I decided to make this video and place a large wager just to kind of keep things exciting. That is also my prediction. Conor rounds 1 and 2, Dustin's 3, 4, and 5. With more of an emphasis on 3 and 4 and more of an emphasis on 1 and 2. If you enjoyed the video, guys, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel down below with bell notifications on, and leave a comment and share the video. Thanks for watching, guys. Till the next one.